This person that happens to like the same sex of people seemed to be very distraught and wanted to call in to Tariq Nasheed and hash out the situation. And he also said a few comments about the foundational Black community being divided up and things
Fair
of that nature. Let's
use,
go ahead and
fair
proceed to listen.
use.
Chronologic, what's up, man?
Hey, nothing much. How are you doing?
I'm good, Chronologic. Question did you have?
So I wanted to come up here because I noticed you like maybe I want to say like a decade ago when you were talking about, they go to comments, and so I wanted to come up here. When you were advocating for reparations, and it's when I first started to really see your name come up a lot, and I started following you a lot because I'm super pro-Black American, and I'm an advocate for reparations. Yeah, I have a link in my profile right now for an anti-cyberbullying petition for Black Americans because we face a lot of cyberbullying on TikTok.
So he talks about cyberbullying. I know that when it comes to a certain community of people that happens to like the same sex, there is a lot of things that happens, and it is great to have petitions and things of that nature. One thing he did try to go into detail about was saying that the foundational Black community seems to go like against that. And I would say that if you look at the world today, there are a lot of perspectives and viewpoints, religions, backgrounds of people, and all kinds of communities that have bias towards how people are. You can't say that this particular community, the Black Americans, the descendants of slaves, are feeling some type of way about people and their lifestyles. That is a nationwide thing that is not honed down into our community. Let's go ahead and continue to listen.
And things like that. I have another petition for reparations. However, anyway, all that aside, I first came across you when you were advocating for reparations, and I started to really watch your videos and things like that. And that's when I really started to become aware of the FBA movement. And over the last 2 years, I would say I was a huge supporter of the FBA movement. I started to follow a few people on this app, specifically TikTok, where I contributed over like $500 just subscribing to people, gifting them, and supporting their platforms because I was really aligned with the message. However, my question for you, or the reason I wanted to request up, is because on this app specifically, I'm not really heavy on Twitter or Instagram and things like that. The main social media platform I use is TikTok. There has been a lot of discourse between a lot of FBA people on here, I would say, and people who have really popular platforms on here. A lot of discourse within our lineage. A lot of people who represent themselves as FBA, and I personally don't feel like in an appropriate way when it comes to the way that they address specific people of the lineage.
So as he said, specific people to the lineage. One thing I do want to point out too is that when it comes down to Black Americans, one thing that is big in our culture and our lineage is that we do roast. If you think about Nick Cannon's show, he hosted a show, I don't remember the name of it, but he hosted a show where people would like cap on each other, so to speak, or crack jokes on each other. He hosted that show because it came from our culture. Nick Cannon is a part of our culture, and that is like a big thing. That's something we used to do in schools and things like that. And that would go for everybody. People used to roast me and say that I had a big head. I roasted people sometimes. It's just something that we do in our community. And when it comes to people who happen to like the same sex, sometimes things happen in that area too. Now, I am not for bullying, I'm not for cyberbullying and things like that, but there's definitely a difference when you're actually cracking jokes and when you're really trying to hurt someone. I would say that when it comes down to that kind of like thin line, when you do find yourself like feeling really hurt, when you're on a big platform like this, when somebody is live and they have like quite a few people on the live, and they're like, dealing with spiritual warfare, because we are in spiritual warfare when it comes to these things. And that is what Tariq and other people who have these big platforms that are talking about the Black American community and the FBA community, they are talking about these things. So this particular person feels some type of way about what they are personally going through. I would say if you have that type of if you have those type of feelings, or you are feeling some type of way about what you are personally going through, why not email that person personally? Like, email that person personally in regards to what you are going through, so that it can be hashed out. When you're dealing with somebody with such a huge platform, they cannot focus on what you are going through personally. As you continue to listen, you will see that Tariq did get a chance to answer the question. The host of the platform got a chance to answer the question. I don't think that the person that called in got the question answered the way that he wanted it to be answered. So I decided to come on and give my perspective, and also just give input on a lot of situations that do happen when you are hosting live platforms. And when it comes down to something personal like a lineage, it's not necessarily the best thing to say that the entire lineage is divided up because of a personal problem that you went through.
As far as my understanding, I have looked at the FBA website and the definition of FBA, and I know that the term like on code comes up a lot. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. My understanding of that was that we support reparations, group economics, and our lineage, right? That was my understanding of that. Group economics, reparation, things like that. Over the last, I would say, year, there's just been a lot of discourse, a lot of negativity, a lot of drama on social media, a lot of people trying to police how other people think and feel and how other people operate in their personal life. My,
So he talked about how people operate in their personal life. He didn't necessarily say that he was a part of the community that happens to like the same sex of people, but from my experience and kind of listening, I am starting to pick up on that. And I would just say that it's more of a personal thing. So when you are personally going through something, instead of like the general thing that this is about reparations. It's about going through racism, and right now it's about a hate crime bill. It's not about like really like personal things that we go through, like being a man or being a woman, or if you got a divorce, or if you happen to like this person or you happen to dislike this person or somebody. So to call into like such a large platform and not get your answer served correctly can be daunting. So that's why I say to go ahead and email that person personally, because sometimes when a person is in such a large platform and they cut somebody off, that person can take it personal. Then it can start to spread things around the social media platforms because they're hurt, and then it kind of skews the perception of the person that is really trying to do the personal warfare to help our community, right? So let's go ahead and continue.
the reason I wanted to request up is because I don't feel like that is appropriate when it comes to a lineage-based movement. And I would just like to know, I know that you're not a leader of the movement, but I would like to know if you have any advice or any words of wisdom that you would give to that type of behavior, and what you would advise for Black Americans to do to be more cooperative together, aside from ideology, orientation, political ideologies, and things like
Okay,
that.
now here's the thing. Okay, Lineage is not a subscription service. This ain't Netflix. All right, we're talking FBA is a bloodline. That's an ethnogenesis. All right, this is not a social club. It's not a political party. It's not a Patreon tier. You can't unsubscribe from a biological, genealogical reality. Okay, FBA is a locked in stone reality. No matter what your political ideology is. You said something about on code, and you think, well, I thought on code meant reparations. No. When we say on code about lineage, on code means we're going to make sure that our lineage survives. That's all on code means. When we say on code, make sure your lineage survives. Do whatever you need to do to make sure your lineage survives. because some people, especially tethers, they try to flip the term on code, meaning that there's a list of rules and regulations that we have to abide by. No. On code means the natural instinct to make your lineage survive. Animals get on code. You understand? If a lion is being attacked by hyenas, other lions will come and get on code to protect that lion from the hyenas. You know, that's just a natural instinct to make sure your bloodline and your lineage is protected. So when we say we're going to get on code, we make sure that we don't have an ethnogenocide going on here where people come among us and try to erase our lineage like we don't exist. So we get on code to protect that lineage, meaning make sure that we're recognized, respected, and empowered. You got that? That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that's why I wanted to, and I agree with all of that. And the reason I came up here, you know, I went to Georgetown University. I'm not an ignorant person. And that's why I can really ignore a lot of the bullshit in the comments right now, to be honest with you. I'm very thorough, despite what people might think of me. But my question is, or my advice would be that there is a lot of division on social media within the lineage. I don't really give a damn about what the tethers and the immigrants say, but within our own lineage, I do think that a lot of the division on social media is really harming the FBA movement. And
it's not. I promise you it's not. This thing is more thorough than ever.
So he said that we have a division. Yeah, any community has some type of division. That is, as I said, it's not, doesn't hone into our community though. Like we have our little divisions. We deal with texturism. Certain hair textures are deemed as more pretty and popular than other hair textures. That's a part of my channel. I do wigs and politics, and I also talk about hair. And I am planning to go further into detail about natural hair. So that will be some videos that will be coming up. But in regards to this particular situation, yeah, there's division in every community. But the path that we're on now is we're on a path for reparations. We're on a path for a hate crime bill, and we're on a path to come together as a community of people that needs to continue to fight for what is right for us and to change these laws around. So for this particular person to point that out, that's a general statement. I would just say, I would say that he sounded hurt. He sounded hurt by whatever he was personally going through, and I genuinely feel like he should just reach out, as many people do that might come onto platforms, and the person, like I said, has many people calling in and wanting to talk. But when you come to a platform and you talk about something that is so personal, that doesn't really help. And then when that person decides like, hey, I gotta move on to this next person, I have millions of people or calling in, what are they supposed to do when you have like this personal topic? And then he proceeds to talk about another personal person that he was personally dealing with. That's not the same as a full-fledged lineage topic.
I understand.
Yeah.
But what I would say is there are some people who think they're grander than what they are. And there are some people on this app specifically who think that they are the leaders somehow of our lineage, and they're not. Specifically, there's a toothless woman on here who thinks that she runs shit, and she doesn't. But I agree 100% with everything that you said. When it comes down to a lineage, it's about a bloodline. And I don't think that, considering the fact that we have a lot of immigrants coming into this country who are trying to redistrict or redirect our resources that we have fought for, I think that is harmful. And I don't think that we can afford to be divided amongst each other as far as Black Americans, descendants of chattel slavery, freedmen, sharecroppers in this country, because I think it makes us weak. And I think it makes it easier for the enemy to come in to take resources from us.
So how we divide it? So explain how we divide
I mean, there are a lot of people on here. Like I said, there's a toothless woman on here by the name of BX. She's an asshole. I went onto a panel.
TikTok Shop. I love TikTok.
I love TikTok Shop, but I'm just going to call it out on your platform. Since she's afraid to talk to me one-on-one on any other platform, she stays in her safe place. And I know she's in here.
I don't want to.
I understand. I'm not going to do that.
Right? I don't want to do gossip.
I know.
I don't like that.
I know. I understand.
See. Okay. See, now it's telling me to remove it. Okay. See, that's okay. Okay.
So the host decided to end the conversation, and I completely get that. When you are trying to host a platform and, like I said, a person is bringing up personal issues and your platform is based off a nationwide cause in regards to like a lineage or something that deep, and then you're also dealing with spiritual warfare and things that are like incredibly deep topics, and something comes, and then a person decides to bring something very sensitive onto the platform that they're personally going through. So I would just say for the host that the decision that was made was very well thought out, and a lot of people are in agreement with it. Of course, there might be some people who aren't in agreement with it, but I am in agreement with it. And I would say for this young gentleman, in regards to our nation of people, in regards to the lineage, we come in all colors, mindsets, and backgrounds. Nobody is perfect. Everybody has things that's going on with them. So you have to be mindful of what these platforms are about, and the whole picture, not the personal issue that you may be going through. Once again, my name is Ebony. If you are new here, my channel is about wigs and politics. I would love to see you in my next video. I do plan to go further into natural hair, and in the meantime, I will be talking more about politics and things that do need to be addressed. I do hope that you are having a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.